Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. Hopefully, today's broadcast will go better than last week's. Of course, as luck would have it, the neighbors are having major tree work done. So I'm hoping that none of you will hear that and it will just be annoying to me and distracting to me. We're also supposed to have our guest Vivienne today. I'm hoping that she is not having technical difficulties. She's not in the green room yet. There's a little waiting room for the app that I use to go live with a guest. So I don't see her in here. And I know Microsoft had a big crash yesterday, as well as my online course hosting platform. So there's been a lot of, I don't know if it's because of the debate and everybody that was, paying attention to all things politics and kids studying from home and all of the pressure on the internet. So let me check the comments to make sure. Okay, good. Sounds like you can see and hear me. Good morning, Leslie, Maria, Marita, Suzanne, Justina. Hi, Justina. Susie Garcia. Good morning. Good morning. So while I'm waiting to see if Vivienne comes, last week I struggled to talk about redheads, and I had a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait until next week." So when I had the opportunity to have Vivienne on, I had to shift gears and push my redhead chat back to make room for Vivienne, because who wouldn't make room for Vivienne? So I'll start to talk about redheads, and hopefully she'll join us. If she doesn't, we can reschedule. So the question last week to win the Rusk in 10 pre-pack was, who in our panel of educators is a natural redhead? And we have Mary Wilson, who wears her hair red. We have Ruth Roach, who is red, Beth Minardi, who is red, and Vivienne, who is red. And Sue, you never know what color Sue is going to show up. She changes her color quite frequently, but I don't remember her being a redhead. She probably was at some point, but more of a vivid fashion red. So the answer was Vivienne MacKinder. So how wonderful to be able to have her join us shortly after. She is at the age where she should have a ton of gray hair, and she does not. And that is one of the most interesting to me facts about redheads, is that they don't go gray. They get a little bit dusty. They fade a little bit to more of like an ashy version of their original spicy red. It just gets dull, right? If you've known a natural redhead, as they age, it just becomes just a little less committed to that vibrancy of a really vivid, bright red. But their skin tone is still that of a redhead, the little sprinkling of freckles and, nice pale skin, usually brown or blue eye. Like, I think I read a statistic that most redheads have brown eyes. I was surprised by that, because there's nothing like that combination of a copper red with bright blue eyes. I love almost like that Irish setter combination. I love that combination. So with natural redheads, all you need to do with them, once they get that dusty, ashy version of themselves, is simply, all Vivienne has to do is apply a gloss once in a while. Her and I chatted last week, and she was letting her hair air dry. She just cut her hair into an adorable, really short bob. And we talked about her why behind the haircut. And Vivienne is all about face shape. And she is one of the few artists that really can articulate to you, the student, why you're cutting the way you're cutting, why the shape is what it is. I have a very prominent chin, and in recent years, my chin has gained a friend, a little lower jiggly chin. So I would prefer not to bring attention to this part of my overall look. If I were to wear my hair in a severe bob right here, all you would look at, you might now anyway, but all you would look at is this chin, because you're drawing the eye up. Where if it's a little bit longer and I put the bolder pops of blonde up around my hairline, I'm trying to bring your attention up here, because I like my eyes better than I like my chin. So that's how I do it with color, but I don't cut hair. So when I did cut hair, I really, to be honest, never thought about why. Why am I doing the haircut that I'm doing? I had a client sit in my chair and hand me a photo, And it's almost as if we treat the head as a doll head. We don't look at the actual person and see, do they have really broad shoulders? Are they a little bit bigger up top and smaller down the bottom? Like, what is their overall body shape? What are they trying to bring forward? And what are they trying to detract from? So Vivienne is amazing at explaining all of that. And for the revival event, she is giving a special gift to every single attendee for that type of thing, to talk about, like, you know, who is in your chair? Like, what is it that she really needs? So that's amazing. That's in addition to all the other things that Revival has. Vivienne is giving that. I just spoke to Joe Blackwell. She is giving something special as well. So you're going to be able to get these extra gifts in addition to your already amazing swag box and, of course, the experience of Revival itself. So we have a great mix of cutting, color, motivation. It's not just one thing or the other, and it's full 90-minute sessions with each educator. It's not going to be a 5-minute little blurb where you're like, oh my gosh, I want to see the end result, and then you never see it. So back to reds. So Vivienne is our natural redhead, and all she has to do is a simple, spicy, very close to what her natural used to be glaze, and really doesn't have to ever do it, right? She can do it when, like, she'll probably do it right before our revival event because she wants to be bright and sassy and shiny and fresh for the event. But it's not, there's no upkeep or maintenance. It's really simply just putting more emphasis on what's already beautifully there from her maker. You know, she came into this world as a beautiful redhead and she has embraced it and kept it. Of course, she has changed the length of her hair, the style of her hair, but overall, you've never seen Vivienne with blue or pink or crazy fashion tones. She owns who she is, and her brand is an elegant, wonderful version of what, you know, how she was brought on this earth. So I love that about her. And she has also been able to, I almost look at her as, I don't want to say Madonna because she wouldn't ever say Madonna. But more, who is the singer that's like Barbra Streisand? I would say more Barbra Streisand. Like, she's a classic singer that every age group knows and appreciates and never goes out of style. And she didn't have to keep adapting like a Lady Gaga or a Madonna to keep being like, look at me, I'm still here. People just loved her no matter what. And she just stayed Barbra Streisand and apparently had major stage fright her entire career. And only in the last 5 years started doing live concerts because she was terrified. Okay, squirrel, back to reds. So with coloring red hair, especially when there's gray present, and I just saw a post right before I came on here. I was scrolling Facebook and someone put a post up and she said, this is how my hair faded. It was much darker red, and I love how it faded to this beautiful copper. But now my roots are in. And of course, she had no gray. She had, 2 inches of her natural, which looked to be about a level 5, just your typical mousy brown level 5. So the copper was like from zones 2 and 3 all the way through to the ends and was beautiful, but it was a faded version of what it started out to be. It started out to be a much deeper, darker, intense red. So she was like, help a sister out. So basically, she had gotten that copper color by accident through fading of a permanent color that she didn't love. So then she's like, oh crap, now where am I? So when you look at a natural level finder, what you need to really go back to and pay attention to is how much red and orange is present in almost every single level other than these two, 9 and 10, has a bit of an orange, a copper, or a red, or a red violet. So that is all present naturally in the hair. So if that person has natural level 5 hair, underneath her ashy brown base is, a really vibrant red that just needs to be let out, brought out naturally. So as soon as a permanent color is placed on her level 5 hair, even so much as a level 5 permanent with 20 volume developer is going to shift her base enough to expose that natural red that lives at that level, which is not the copper that she's looking for. It's more of like that deep woodsy red, more on a brown scale. So she needs to go higher and lighter to expose more of that copper. So red lives naturally in levels 5, 6, 7, and 8. It doesn't live at 1, 2, 3, and it doesn't live at 9, 10. So we have to remember how much red is naturally in the hair that's going to help us out, right? Stop trying to fight the natural red that's in there and go right in and let it be and pull it out of where it's hiding and utilize it to create those coppers. So to make her level 5 base into that, it was like a 7.5. It's not really an 8 because it's not a light strawberry, but it's not really a true 7 because it wasn't like super orangey copper. So she's a level 5. The result that she wants is a 7. So if she were to use a level 8G on her hair, it would bring her perfectly up to match those ends because it's going to bring out what's naturally living in the hair. Now it looks like our friend is in the green room. It's she's not right on the camera yet. So she looks like she's here and I'll be able to bring her. There she is. Oh, I was just talking about your adorable curly bob. I love it.
I know. You know what confused me? I'm doing a show today. Hello, everybody. I'm doing a show today with Errol Douglas. So I went to your link and I see what you can see here, Errol Douglas presentation. So that's why my name is not there.
Oh, that's okay. We all know who you are. You don't even have to say your name. You're like the Madonna of our industry. One word, Vivienne. That's all you have to say. So
No.
I'm glad you found us. I was chattering on last week. I attempted to do my normal coffee chat and the internet gods were not on my side. I got kicked off literally 3 times. So I said, you know what, guys? The universe is telling me to shut the heck up and wait till next week. So then when I had you lined up, I said, I'm sorry, I cannot say no to having Vivienne, so I'm going to have to shift gears. So while I was waiting for you, I started talking about red. So it's all good. The prize last week was they had to guess who the natural redhead is in our panel of educators. So you were the question last week. So you get to pick the question this week. You'll have to pick a question for a prize.
I'm trying to add.
No, I love this cut. I love your natural curl.
I know.
It's very, very refreshing.
And it's very humid here today. So it's like, come on, dry hair. And I got my false eyelashes on. So
nice. You put them on yourself?
Yes. So I'm ready for my thing. So hi to everybody and hi, Elaine. And it's great to hear all the advice you're giving because it just seems like in the color world, there's always a mystery that goes on.
Always. And I don't know if any of you know, but Vivienne recently did a fun thing with Beth Minardi where Beth was teaching Vivienne how to foil. Vivienne has so much success in our industry and has done many things, but color really hasn't been a big part of her career. She, of course, has her models beautifully colored for all of her NAHA awards and everything, but cutting and styling and fashion and editorial work and all of that has been more of her focus. So I loved your vulnerability. I love that you were able to put yourself out there and feel uncomfortable and have everybody watching you. That's amazing. You know, most people are like, no, I don't want anyone to see me feel that way, but I love that.
It's fun because, you know, I think the saddest thing actually, because I love color and I actually do the color for all of my collections.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you did that.
You know, I do, but I have to have people formulate for me because I have no idea about the formulation. I look at it, it's like, what? I can't even follow a recipe. It's just like the directions, I read them and it's like it goes in one ear and out the other. And then the formulation and numbers, it's like, oh no. So I think the saddest thing was that when I joined Sassoons, I didn't know that you had to be A or B. And I was sent the first day of being at Sassoons to the top floor where the color was happening, which on that day wasn't a very busy day and it seemed quite cold and sterile up there. And then downstairs, there were 2 floors, were jam-packed with everyone doing amazing haircuts. So I just thought, this seems like it's going to be more fun. Not aptitude, nothing about career path. It was just pick a floor. And on that day,
and that created your whole career. That one.
Yeah, but I've got to work with the most incredible colorist in the world, and the colorist who stood by my side for all those years was Annie Humphreys.
Do you have any way to get in touch with her? I have struggled to reach her to have her make a little cameo during Revival. And from what I hear, she is in the south of France, just loving life and kind of like off. Nobody knows where she is or how to get in touch with her. If you can get in touch with her, that would be amazing. We
Yeah,
could do like a little,
yeah,
even if we pre-record it and have her
yeah.
pop in.
Yeah, that would be amazing. The last time I saw her, she was being honored at a big hair award, the alternative hair show, and we were talking backstage. And I used to travel around the world with her. I used to share a room with her, and she was quite a character to share a room with. You know, she would wait up for me at night until I'd come back in because I was a party animal. And she'd be, "We're out there, love. All right, put the lights off. Let's go to sleep. Not tomorrow, okay?" And we were backstage, and we were like, I was talking to Annie, and we were reminiscing, and she all of a sudden on the screen came up Annie Humphreys and these achievements and all these amazing things, and it was like, wow, a retrospective of her life. And I'm saying, Annie, look at the monitor, it's you, because she thought she was just there to give an award. She was actually giving me an award.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
They were honoring her, and it was just so magical.
That's amazing. She was so creative. I remember early in my career being at Hair Color USA, and we were outside. They were doing presentations outside, which I loved because you're in Florida, right? I was coming from Philadelphia, and I'm like, I don't want to be in a freezing cold air conditioning hotel. I want to be on the lawn with palm trees and all of that. So they did a great job with that. And her presentation, do you remember the old little fold over things that went over a slide of a photo, like the negative? They had those little square negatives, and she clipped them onto the strand of the hair, down the hair, and then painted color in each. And I'm like, how do you even go there? Like, my mind just cannot go there. I'm not that type of colorist. I don't think that creatively, and it was beautiful. It wasn't too weird or funky. You know, you could do different versions of it. You could do an avant-garde, and you could simplify it, but just so creative, so amazing. I wish that we could see more of her still, but I get wanting to go off into the French Riviera sunset after a lifetime of being in this wonderful industry.
Yeah.
So when you talk to the people that are listening to us, you know, of course, COVID has made everybody just take a huge pause. And I find the buzz through a lot of the Facebook forums is like, do I even want to keep going? Do I even want to do hair? Like, how do I start all over again? What do I do? And, you know, you're so relevant today as much as you were the day that you started. And I'm sure that takes a lot of energy to just keeping on. So what advice would you give someone who's thinking, I don't know where to go from here?
Well, I do relate because last week.
Look at you, high tech, changing your name.
I know.
That's mad impressive. I am so impressed right now.
Well, Errol Douglas is this afternoon. I don't think he really wants me to be exploiting his name. Bless him. Yes, that's a really great question. I know. I did my first workshop last week, and I found wearing a mask solidly for 3 days, only coming up for air for a sip of water and then some food at lunchtime, trying to communicate through a mask and trying to not hyperventilate, and the frustration of not being heard, misheard, trying to teach through it. I thought it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I think it is an incredibly difficult time to do hair as though you're suffocating. Also, the client, because you can't design to have face shape, you can't see it, right? So my whole strategy right now is I have the client take a photograph of themselves just that day, so that you're doing the consort to today's photograph. So you're doing because that way you can keep looking at their face shape, and you can keep going, okay, balance here, no here, and you can have a narrative all around, what you're seeing on the photo. So that's the way to get around the fact that half the face is hidden. And most hairdressers didn't even look enough at the faces before, and now we're blinded, and also conversation's more tedious. So I think in the darkness you have to find the light. I think that when the consultations become even more important to find out where you're living today. I have a consultation form. Never before has the form been more helpful, because the form answers the questions that are too tedious to even ask through a mask. So then you're reading the form, you're communicating about what you're learning from that form, and then you just get on and you just say, I'm just going to have a conversation with your hair. It's too exhausting to talk through these masks. They don't even want to talk through the masks. It's exhausting. Just give them that safe place. You go to your safe place. And what I do know is when you actually just focus and talk to the hair, you have a better experience, because you can only focus on one thing at a time. I mean, I know there are more women listening to this than the men, and I love my men, don't get me wrong, but women are very good at multitasking. My husband, no, I can't answer that now. I am driving. What?
They turn the radio down when they have to concentrate on directions.
I can't listen to the radio when I'm driving. Where are we going? We're going to West Hampton, where you've been 1,000 times. Do I take this turn? You're talking to me. I can't concentrate. I'm about to jump off a sweetheart. No, I don't hear that because I'm concentrating on something else. So women are better, obviously, at it. But we shouldn't be living in survival. We should be living in creation. In the animal world, survival is this rush of adrenaline. I'm going to get attacked by the monster. I seek a safe haven, and now I'm safe. So the adrenaline rushes. They're in survival. They calm down, and everything calms down. Survival for a second, adrenaline for a second. We're living 24/7 in survival. And why do we have ulcers? Why do we have all the illnesses that we have? We have to just think about, okay, how do I, in my madness, create a space that I can control? Which is consultation form. Give that to them. Have them come in 5 minutes before the appointment, fill it out, read it through it, talk about the different points, point to the things on the form, which is what I do. Oh, I see you've said this here. Okay. I see that you've changed your job. I see you've lost your job. I see you're on Zoom all the time. Let's just do color around the front because no one's seeing the back, right? You know, it's almost like going into the photographic world. You just do what the camera sees. So if you do that first, secondly, just say, are you more comfortable to be quiet right now? Can I just talk to the hair? So you give yourself permission, them permission not to talk, because the last time they saw you pre-mask, you were like this babbling brook, right? And now you've gone quiet. So is there something wrong with you? Oh, I feel guilty. I'm not talking. I should be entertaining her right now. No, you just address that. Get on with your work. Meet them where they live today. And I promise you, by meeting them where they live today, you're going to have a happier person. You're going to have some peace because you're working quietly. You can think. You can start to de-stress. You can be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And I think that's very helpful. And when I was wearing my mask, I wore one extra large. It was really big, actually. It was like, but it gave me a little bit more room in here to breathe. And it was actually covering quite a lot of my face. And actually, versus the medical mask, which I had been wearing, and I actually found that one quite helpful. So I think you've got to find one that is as comfortable as you can possibly find, because it's horrible. It's horrible. But you know what? Every challenge in life tests your why. And if COVID hadn't come along, would you now be bored because you're just doing the same thing over and over again? If COVID hadn't come along, would you be spending money the way you are spending money? If COVID hadn't come along, would the relationships be the way that they are right now? I think a trauma in our lives, which it has been traumatic, makes us step back and say, okay, what's important right now and what's not important? Where do I put my focus? Where do I invest myself? I lost 90% of my business when COVID hit. I panicked. I had a pity party for a good hour. And then somebody called me and said, listen, we need for you to talk to all these people and lift them up and motivate them. I burst into tears. It's like, okay, so you need motivation and you need inspiration. I get that. But like, I'm having a pity party right now. I'm not available.
Don't interrupt my pity party.
I need to have a full-fledged pity party. So this is not going to work. And I just had my pity party and I thought, whoa, okay, so how do I give when I have nothing to give? How do I give when I'm empty? And in that moment, I thought, right, I've got to do something that's going to inspire me so that if I feed myself, I can help other people. And that's where Hair Hero was born. And I started Hair Heroes And I started to reach out to the most iconic, amazing hairdressers in the world. And I said, would you come on the show? Can we talk about your success? Can we talk about your life? Can we celebrate it? And then can you teach me how to do some hair? They all laughed. And I said, come on, there's always something to learn. I certainly don't know it all. I want to learn. So to your point, Beth was one of my hair heroes. She taught me how to do several color techniques, actually. I loved it. I loved the freedom of learning something new. I loved the curiosity. I loved laughing. I loved, this is such an adventure. I loved the safety of having her there, that if I fell over, she's going to catch me, even though she's virtually away. It's just like you were giving formulation advice earlier on this call. You're a safety net, Elaine, for many, many colorists. They can come to you and go, whoa, okay, Elaine's got this figured out. Let me go to her. So, you know, out of crisis, I made an opportunity happen. And from there, it has been extraordinary. So today, in a few hours, I do my gig with Errol Douglas, a man I have loved for years. And at long last, I'm going to get to work with him. Now, he's in London. I'm here in New York. We're going to work together. He's going to teach me something. And I have taken a negative, my pity party, and turned it into something positive. Financially, I'm not recovered.
But nobody is. So there's strength in numbers, and it's nice to know that we're all in it together.
But, you know, keep doing the right thing, and the right thing will happen, right? You've got to keep true to yourself and find somewhere. You've got to give to yourself, because if you don't give to yourself, you've got nothing to give. So I said, first of all, the consultation, the permission to be quiet, find a mask that's comfortable, take care of your nutritional self, exercise. Exercise is so important. Being in nature. I mean, I'm walking, I have a horse, so I'm in nature a lot. But my time in nature, to just be peaceful, I've taken up a meditation program, which is intense. So I'm meditating a lot to just try and get through the next moment. And I've definitely, Elaine, thought, well, do I want to do this anymore? I don't want to do a workshop again the way that workshop worked out, because it was just uncomfortable for everybody. Workshops are an amazing thing to do, to be with hairdressers, to share, to create, but not when you feel like you're like, oh, that's no fun. So yeah, you've got to find that place, and you have to go in. You can't go out. You have to go in and say, you know, what brings joy? When do I laugh? What makes me feel complete? When I go and learn something, do I feel bigger or do I feel smaller? Did they confuse me? Did they demotivate me? Did they inspire me? What is my path? What is my journey? Because whatever your goals are, you've got to love who you become on that journey.
Absolutely. And I love how you pointed out, and I feel the same way about the many gifts of COVID. I keep pointing out how many gifts, because I've never understood the 30-minute haircut ever. Since I got licensed until now, I don't believe, it's my personal belief, that it is not possible to give a spectacular service and haircut and the whole entire thing in 30 minutes. So we've spent, 20 plus years racing against a clock that is never going to be in our favor. So you're running behind all the time, and there's all this cortisol dumping into your belly, and you're not eating, and you're sipping on caffeine, and just getting through the day, and then you collapse at the end of the night, and then you start all over again the next day. So I think that the government mandated, so many people in the salon, and less capacity and all that. I think that stylists who haven't breathed during doing hair or enjoyed, to your point, their art because they have the time to spend with the client. And again, to your point, they don't feel like they have to do this the whole time because they can't. So I remember when I went to Vidal Sassoon, to the school in Santa Monica, it was a 1-week program, and I was already licensed for, I think, 7 years, and owned my salon for 5 years and was fully booked. And I said, I've always wanted to go to Vidal Sassoon and have that discipline for the hair cutting. I want to know the structure and the why. And it was the hardest, most uncomfortable thing. I felt like it was the first day of beauty school. It was so different. And I remember coming home, and I had everybody booked the way I normally did. And it would take me 45 minutes to an hour, but it was the best work I had ever done. And every single client came back in whatever the normal rotation, 5-6 weeks, and said, I don't even need a haircut. That was the best haircut you ever gave me. I could have gone another 6 weeks because I shut up. I stopped doing this and I focused on them, their face, their body type, everything about it was all about them. It wasn't about my weekend, my fight with my husband, whatever it was all about the hair, and it made me slow down. And I think that is a true gift of COVID, of just being able to take the time to be creative and do new color services and try something that you haven't been able to do. Because how many times does a client ask for something and we talk them out of it because we're going to get backed up all day, when we should be happy that they're finally ready for a change? They
Well,
get
the
stuck.
number one reason why a client leaves the salon is because she's looking for something new. So, we limit it. And I agree with every single thing you said. I think that now is a very important time to reinvent ourselves. And that means new thoughts, new behavior. And as you said, you went to Sassoon's and it shook up the world that you knew and brought you to a new world. But I think the critical thing about anyone, whether you're learning online, is that when you learn something new, you've got to apply it immediately. Within 30 days, if you do not apply what you've learned, you lose 85% of what you just watched. Now, if you are going to watch something and not use it, that's entertainment. Well, if I want to be entertained, I'm going to be going to watch something amazing, a great movie or whatever it is. That's entertainment. Those multi-million-dollar productions, that's entertainment. If I'm going to look at some hair, yes, I'd like the information to entertain me and keep me engaged. I won't be bored, of course, but I have got to apply it. And what the big thing is that people don't take that time to practice it on a mannequin before a human. Then when they go into the salon, if I'm going to learn something new, I need more time. Now, I can set myself up to fail, go and do a workshop, a virtual workshop. Let's talk about those right now, or study online, and I can learn whatever, the new widget. I can go back to my normal work life and try and squeeze that big idea, squeeze it back in that little box. But your box just expanded. So the time is not there, maybe the wrong client. It may backfire on you. You may lose confidence. You're going to say, oh, that doesn't work. I'm not going to do that anymore. Quit education. Versus, okay, I'm going to now, when I go back after doing, say, a 3-day program, when I go back, I'm going to take 90 minutes with my guests for the first day. Or maybe I'm taking 2 hours with my guests for the first day. The second day, 90 minutes. The next day, 1 hour. The next day, 45 minutes. Gradually wean yourself back in. So like with you, Elaine, when you were at Sassoon's, you would have been able to have given even more time to digest and reprocess, because learning something new means a new thought. And a new thought leads to a new feeling, excitement, intimidation, frustration, whatever. But that thought and that feeling creates a different outcome. Because if you always do what you know, every day we get up and we switch our phone off if it's ringing, the alarm. Every day we go and make our coffee the same way. Every day we clean our teeth the same way. Every day we have our routine. Everything's the same. Our brain never changed. Our brain is the same today as it was yesterday. And if you go into that salon, you're doing your back-to-back foils, because you always do back-to-back foils. You're always doing your freehand painting, whatever you're doing, and you're doing the same as you did yesterday and the day before. Your brain has not moved or changed. You have to every day stretch it. Otherwise, all you're doing is living your past. You're not even living your present. And today, you said about how to get yourself in a better place. Live your future. Today, I challenge you to write your future. Write just a shopping list of future things that you want in your life and live as though that future has happened. Live it today in gratitude. Gratitude. Because you will then manifest that. And that's not quirky. That's a truth. That's a quantum field saying to the world, I want abundance in my life. It's not, oh, look at my debt, because then you feed debt, you feed negativity. You're saying, I wish for abundance in my life. I wish to increase my value behind my chair so that my clients feel that I'm worthy of more. They tip me more. I invested in my education. I'm going to do everything within my power. Any downtime in my workday is invested in top quality education. I'm investing in me so I have more to give. That is affirming a really amazing today and a brilliant tomorrow versus, oh my God.
The ruminating, the back room, the broke room bitching, I'm so slow. That's all I keep saying is I'm so slow. And then I talked to Joe. I've had the pleasure of meeting with all of our revival educators and have learned so much just in our little chats and building up to the event. And Joe said, yeah, COVID, she had COVID. She's like, my whole family was sick. It took us down. She lost some staff members during COVID. People didn't want to come back. All of those things happen. And she's always so positive. She said, you know what? We did an amazing photo shoot that the whole staff was able to participate in because they now have the time. So there's always finding that little gem in the adversity. There's so much good that can come out of it. I mean, for me, revival was the good that came out of it, because to get Vivienne MacKinder and Joe Blackwell and Beth Minardi and all of these amazing educators to all be available for the same 2 days would be nearly impossible if we weren't in this situation, because you're all booked years in advance for different shows and opportunities. So that's been my gift, to be able to relate and connect to all of you. And I was just talking to Bryn yesterday about it, and I said, how amazing is it that every single attendee has a front row face-to-face experience with you? Like they're going to have Vivienne this close to their face. No hair show could you ever get that close, because even if you're in the front row, you're up on the stage and you're pretty far away, and you end up watching it on the screen. Yeah, that's not the same.
And then this person's not into it and they're talking away, and you give them that look like,
yeah.
and then this person wants to move, and then this person's looking at the brochure, and you're thinking, is this a quality experience? And then you go out there and you have really inferior coffee, really an inferior food, and you think, why am I here?
Why am I here? And I do that every single show. And isn't it crazy how when you look out, you always find that person that's either talking to somebody or fidgeting? It's almost like Murphy's Law. Like you just zone right in on them and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? What can I change about what I'm saying? And then every single time that I am feeling bad about my presentation and my whole thing, that's the person that comes up to me at the end and says, can I take a picture with you? Can you sign my book? That was amazing. So I just caught them in that little 1 second. They might have been saying that was so great talking to their friend, but I'm thinking they're like, oh my God, this stinks. Let's get out of here and go get a coffee, So our thoughts about what we perceive people thinking about us, it's never right. When I first did, Bonnie Bonadeo had her public speaking event that was amazing. It was called Stages. And I went there to be you. I was like, I want to be up on stage. I want to have the Britney Spears wireless mic and be able to do my thing. It was always the goal from beauty school. And day one, she put us on the spot. Of course, I had to go first. She picked me first. And she said, get up and talk for 8 minutes about any topic. And it was unscripted, not practiced, not planned for. It was totally on the spot. And I thought, a fair job of telling a story about my sister's hair color disaster. And I finished and I look out and there was maybe 12 of us in this group. And she opened it up for critique and, does anybody have anything to say? And I saw all these blank faces. And I said to myself, that was awful. They're speechless. They don't even know what to say. It was so bad. That was my perception of it. So the next day I changed the entire way that I did it and was so not me. I was doing the steeple hands. Those Fortune 500 speakers with the steeple hands and this, I wore a suit jacket, changed the way I dressed, changed the way I presented, thinking that's what they wanted to see. Did a whole thing, much more polished, much more organized and focused. And I got the same faces. So Bonnie said, anybody have anything to say to Elaine? And this guy in the audience said, yeah, who the hell was that? And where's the girl from yesterday? And I said, where the hell were you yesterday telling that girl she did a good job? I assumed because you didn't say anything that it was awful.
Wow.
So we both like didn't do ourselves a good, service of, I assumed it was awful. He assumed I knew it was good because he didn't critique.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, how many people are doing that right now
Well,
with their guests,
Yeah, totally. And even more so when this is, because, when we talk, do you know where we look? We look to the mouth. When we're looking at somebody, we're not always looking at their eyes, we're looking at the mouth.
So true.
So that's cut off. So congratulations on Revival. You've got wonderful lineup. You've got amazing people, which is super exciting. And I hope that all of your members are going to flock and watch all of the talent that will be there, because when you combine the years of knowledge that's going to be presented, and the I always say, if you're looking for someone to mentor you, it better be somebody that is not a one-trick pony. I want longevity, because there are things like luck or a flash of success, but I want to go to the people who've been there and done it, and follow in their footsteps and then make it my own.
Absolutely.
And you've got great people.
100%. And I always think about, like, for me, I never hesitate to invest in my education ever. I don't care how much it is. If there's somebody who's doing something that I want to learn, I am paying for it because I know it's going to come back in spades. And, the investment is always worthwhile.
Yeah.
So if we break it down, there's 9 amazing educators. And for $197 to have a front row ticket and our VIP party where they're going to be able to ask questions, and they're going to be able to interact with other hairstylists, interact with you educators. We're playing games. There's so many great prizes. There's the golden tickets. Tell everybody what you're doing for your golden ticket prize.
Oh, I'm going to do a routine with a Chippendale.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be really good. What am I doing? I don't know. What am I doing?
You did the hair designer TV. You're doing one person gets an entire year of your membership.
That's right. So there's 1,000 videos. You'll need a Chippendale after that.
And what is the value of that? If someone paid for a year, what is the price of your membership?
Oh, it's about $1,500.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So yes, it's on Hair Designer TV. There's now 1,000 videos. It's divided into courses, and there's a la carte where you can just kind of go from lesson to lesson to lesson. We've got incredible content in mentoring. All our hair heroes live there. We've got some really solid, nice things in color. We've got a lot of really good stuff. I would say our greatest assets are the fact that I've got such incredible pedigree people on the site, and so there's so much to learn beyond their hands. Obviously, huge amount of cutting in precision and in razor work, and a lot of dress work. If you want to do more, move and manipulate my length of hair, Elaine's length of hair, longer hair, and just do more in your finishing, you could just do the same hair cutting techniques you've done for years. Don't add one more thing to it. Be more efficient in how you do it, yeah. But if you added finishing skills to it, wow. Because, we've got videos that now have lived on the site for 17 years. Hair Designer TV was 17 years old. And
is it really? That's amazing. You were so far ahead of the curve with that.
Yeah, 17 years. So I've been there, done it. There's a book in me somewhere about failing forward. So when I look at the techniques that keep coming back, the only thing when I look at my website, I go, oh, that one now she's been sitting there for a long, long time. The only thing I would do is blow dry it differently. The haircut, I wouldn't change at all. But I would blow dry it maybe this way, and maybe I would relax it. And because we're going through, what is it now? 15 years of undone relaxed hair. Maybe it's longer. I would say maybe 15 years. We've got to soon start going the other way again, because it can't get any more undone. So I think we're going to start to see more polish coming back into hair. And for those right now who are still trapped at home and may be, and that may be their way of living, their way they're dressing is very different. The way their whole lifestyle has radically changed. And when they show up for a call, I mean, I have a lot of business calls where people are not always showing their face like this. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't do my hair today. And it's like, well, come on, I want to see you. And it's like, no. So, we have that going on where people are doing nothing. They didn't even get out of their pajamas. But then there's the flip side of like, oh, I'm so tired of being in cozy clothes and I just want to put on some makeup and I just want to go out somewhere and, just shine, because they haven't, right? And if you look at history, when I was at college, my textbook was called The First 5,000 Years of Hairdressing, first 5,000. And I remember thinking, the first 5,000, there's more. As a 19-year-old, it's going to be a long, long journey, right? But in this book, every trend and fashion came from a social shift, war, famine.
Yeah, true.
Inventions, revolutions. When you look at the bob, it came from the emancipation of women, women's right to vote. Women had no right to vote. Women, I believe in America, and I know certainly in Europe and England, they were tying themselves to the railings. They had a big Gibson girl hairstyle. They were corseted. They were restricted by what they could do. Just by the clothing, they were restricted. So when they got liberated and they cut off their hair and they went into the hemline rose to below their knee and they bound their chest so they could be completely flat, and they dieted, it was a trend to get thin. So they wore those long shift dresses and they had their bobs. That came completely from a revolution of women's emancipation.
That's amazing. And we don't think about that when we're in the salon doing hair. We don't even think about how much the trends and all of that marry up to what's going on in the world at any given time. It's amazing.
So right now, because we have a global situation, to me, the natural trend would be wash and wear hairstyles. People want easy. So doing haircuts that enhance the texture. A lot of people want to get in the salon and get out again. That whole spa relaxation feeling has gone right now. Come back. It'll come back. Of course it will. Things go in cycles. So, I said this a few times. When my father was a major in the war, in World War II. So I grew up hearing war stories as a child. And he would talk about the hardship and the suffering and the things that happened in the war. The interesting thing, my father was trained to be a soldier. He knew as a British major who the enemy was. And he was trained to go into battle. We have an enemy we can't even see. You can't even see this virus. It's an energy field. You can't even see it, right? So we have an enemy that we can't fight. The medical world still is scratching their head going, oh, I don't know. Then there's this whole fringe of all the naturalists that are saying, well, if you do this, this, and this, no one needs to have it, right? There's all of this controversy out there about
some onions in your socks.
Yeah, and we haven't been trained to fight it. We haven't been trained to know what to do in business when we are told we have to shut down. We haven't been trained for any of this. So we're fighting a war without any training. We don't know who the enemy is. We're not trained for it. We don't have leadership. I mean, when you look at what happened in times of hardship, there was great leaders that led the people to get out of this. So we now have to lead ourselves. We have to now live the best version of our lives we can. And we have to inspire our families. We have to inspire ourselves. We have to inspire our clients. And we have to be that light in a dark place right now. Because if every single person listening to this is a bright light, that light goes out there and we impact other people. And even when you feel like rubbish, you put on your bright light and you fake it until you can make it. So that's my advice.
I love that. And it's so true. And just there was a story, I don't even remember where I heard it, but they said when COVID first happened, there was two famous restaurants that were in competition with each other all the time in New York City. And it's like, oh, this one has a better week and then that one has a bad week. And they just kept taking turns. And they said the one restaurant owner just immediately was in defeat mode. You know, I have to close down. I'm going to go out of business. Didn't do anything proactive. The guy next door didn't sit in his pity party for too long. Of course, he had one. We all do. And then he said, okay, how can I make the best set up in my kitchen for the most amount of takeout to save my business, and did more numbers than he did when people ate in. Because you know how long people linger when they sit in a restaurant, especially if there's wine involved. So it's all your mental attitude about it. It's like, what are those projects that, to your point, how many trainings have you been to where, you know, I have tons of these little notebooks that I get in each training, and they have all these words in them that I jotted down during the thing. But exactly what you said, if I don't come home and immediately try that technique or do that whatever on another person and carry it out, it doesn't become a new habit. So for me during COVID, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many projects that I've been putting on the back burner. Now I have time to do all those things. Everybody has a closet that has needed cleaning out for 10 years. Everybody has that junk drawer in their kitchen, and clutter and junk is a form of your life is out of control and you're avoiding. So start digging into those crevices and clean out your life, and come up and look around and see where the heck you are and what you're doing with your life. Because we're all in autopilot all the time. We take the same, to your point about brushing your teeth and the coffee. If there's a morning that I sleep in a little bit later than my husband, he comes out and he's like, where's the coffee? Like, it disrupts his whole routine because I'm always the one that does the coffee for it. It's down to those little, yeah, I'm the coffee machine. So it's like, just, how many times have you gone on your route to work and there's a construction sign and you're like, oh my gosh, like you've never had to think about another way to work because you've taken that same route for 20 years, looking at the same houses, the same, you know, people walking the same dog. Like, go left when you usually go right. Do something different to just open your mind to new possibilities and see things. You know, I would ride by, go a different route. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that house. Did that house just get painted that color? My husband's like, that house has been that color for 15 years. But you're just asleep at the wheel, and you get to work, and sometimes you're like, how did I even get here? I don't even remember putting the key in the ignition, because we're in our head about all the stuff that we have ruminating over and over again. So yeah, I think there's been as many gifts as negatives of this whole situation, because our society, I worry sick about the 20 something. My kids are 22 and almost 27. And this thing has been an amazing tool to do wonderful things. I went to Asia. My daughter was living in Thailand for 6 months. And because of that phone, we lived in Asia as if we were in our neighborhood. We could punch anything in and get anywhere and not speak the language and do translation. All that is amazing. But the comparison of, you know, people looking like they're having so much more fun than they're actually having, and the Insta version of people's lives versus the real version is heartbreaking. And these young kids are trying hard to get in to see the school therapist or the psych office or whatever of campus. And there's a 6 to 8 week wait because so many people are so depressed and don't know what to do because they've never been before. So it's scary what that's going to look like.
It is. Well, there's nothing more magical than a relationship and a connection and being understood and being heard and listening. And technology is phenomenal. I mean, I've been in the technology business a long time, but you have to say, is it ruling me or am I ruling it? And you have to have incredible editing capabilities, because whatever comes in through a digital form into your sacred space, your home, your salon, is an influence. And you have to ask, is it an influence that's going to enhance your life, add more value to your life, and make you a better person, or is it going to take you away? So I think, if that person that is on a screen, whether it's a television, whether it's, you know, whatever it is that's coming in, whether it's a movie, would you let that experience walk into your home across your threshold? Would you let that type of person into your space? Would they add value to your salon and to your home? And if the answer is no, edit, delete. And I think it's about streamlining, simple, edit, get rid of the clutter. You know, it's the parental principle, the 80-20 rule. Uh, 80% of what's achieved in the salon is a result of 20% of people's efforts, right? 80% of what's lying in your closet you do not use the 20%. So the 80-20 rule is a very interesting rule. The 80% that's not serving you, try and eliminate it. Try and simplify it and focus on the 20 that brings you the 80. And that makes so much sense, because the world is not sleeping because digital doesn't sleep. And being able to say, having rules, like I don't switch on my phone. I don't touch my phone after 6 o'clock at night.
That's amazing. That's hard to do.
Yeah, it's done. There are things that I do late at night. Like I sometimes will be editing very late at night, because when I'm editing very late at night, my content is peaceful and I go into a creative zone.
So it's different. Yeah.
You've got to have boundaries. It's vital. And we, thank goodness, are in that touching people. We work in the soul realm. The mind, the will, and the emotions are the soul realm. We work here. It's sacred. Our chakras are all intelligent.
I was just going to say that the crown chakra, we're working around on people all the time, whether they like it or not, and our energy can affect all of their own chakras.
Yes. If you've ever seen the study, forgive me, I can't remember the name of the gentleman. He's Japanese scientist. He did a study of water, and it shows the molecular structure of water, and it shows water that's been prayed over and blessed, and how the crystals are beautiful, and it's almost like sparkling diamonds. And then he shows water that's cursed over, negative thought, negative energy, and the whole structure and the darkness of it is completely different. And just energy, it's just like COVID is energy of positive thoughts, and how it impacts water, which is fascinating, because people of spiritual backgrounds will pray before eating food, or they'll bless water. And when you see the molecular structure change and you're consuming it, so just think about every time you spray water over a client's head, you bless the water. I mean, I know that sounds kind of quirky, but science, you can't argue with science.
Yeah.
Science, with the technology they have today to be able to look at the molecular structure, when science sees a prayer of positive thought versus negative thought, how it influences water's in every single thing we use as hairdressers.
And our entire body is made up of, what is it, 80% water?
Yeah, there we go. So we're going now into we're becoming very philosophical, but
very metaphysical. I've seen that experiment with plants. I have not heard that water one. That's interesting. Yes. I've seen it with plants where they have, a focus group, and this group talks really mean to the plant. You're ugly, you're dry, you're this, you're that. Yeah. And then the other one's like, you're beautiful. Good morning, beautiful. And the ones that were talked to positive are thriving and, blooming. Yeah. And the other ones are all shriveled up. I'm like, wow, that's intense.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
We've got to say some nice things to my orchids there. You're beautiful.
You know what? Oh, you don't want to hear what I do to orchids. They made fun of me in the salon because as soon as the bloom falls off and it's just a stick, I'm like, I can't stand looking at it like that. So I would put it in the back room where nobody could see it. Yeah. And they're like, do you do that to people too? I'm just not, I don't have a green thumb. And when it's in its not attractive state, it's hard for me to love it, but I have to get better at that.
Wow. So I hope all of your friends here listening to us have been amused. You may be washing up, you may be cleaning some color bowls, you may be doing whatever you're doing, because generally when people listen to sort of podcasts, they're doing something else. So I hope that this has sort of spoken to you in some shape or form, and that you support Elaine and this revival, because it's a great event with amazing, talented people that are going to be there. So after this event, what you need to do, if not before, is buy a mannequin head, get a couple, and get a really good stand. Do not compromise on your stand. Get the best stand you can have, because
I agree. That makes such a difference.
If you've got a bad stand, you'll be so frustrated. So I think Pivot Point probably has the best stand.
Actually, Vivienne, every single person that purchased a ticket is getting, I think they either got it today or yesterday, an email with a 10% code for Revival. So they'll save on their mannequin, they'll save on the stand, the swatches, anything that Pivot Point has, we're giving them, all the attendees, a 10% discount. So and we also encouraged, we sent out an email and said, you know, what could make Revival even better than it already is making it hands-on. So we're encouraging people to even do it as you're doing your demonstration, do it along with you, if they're that type of learner. For me, I like to take it all in and then do it later on my own.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of the VIP is they'll have the recording of you and they'll be able to stop it, pause it, rewind it. What did she say? Go back to it. So yeah.
That's good. So make sure that, guys, when you book your time for Revival, you also book your time for your practice.
Absolutely.
And make it beautiful. Don't think of it as homework. Don't think of it as anything other than create a space for you as an artist to create your own studio, even if it's only 4x4. Create nice lighting, create nice ambience, put candles in there, whatever it is. It should be a sacred artist studio where you create, where you go in and you are transformed in your skill, your awareness, your learn. Set yourself up to be successful. We just did a virtual workshop on Monday, and it was wonderful. But it was interesting how one hairdresser, she had this little clamp at the table and was struggling. Another one didn't have good light. Another one had a stand that wasn't working. Another one didn't have the computer set up on the proper thing. You know, go to Amazon and look for a good stand for your phone, for your iPad, so that it is everything you do in your artist studio should be the most perfect environment to make life easy. Because when you are learning something new, it won't be easy. You know, when you're learning something new, it's your first attempt in learning, which is the acronym of failure. Failure, first attempt in learning.
Oh, I like that.
So when you are learning something new, you're going to be uncomfortable. And if you're not uncomfortable, then you're not learning anything new. So
100%.
make your space perfect so that you are setting yourself up to be successful, and you'll want to go back there, right? And that could be like, you know, every Monday for 2 hours or 3 hours, I go to my sacred space. I am an artist. I create. Here is my easel. Here are my paints, and I'm going to create. I'm going to photo journal, and I will see a return on that. You're actually affirming the outcome before it happened, which is gratitude, right? When you have gratitude, think about it. You don't express gratitude unless something has happened. So if you have gratitude for the future, you're already saying it's going to happen. Ha-ha.
I love that. And that's the perfect way for us to end on that note, because I could talk to you forever. And I know you have another program to do. So thank you so much, everyone. This is just a tiny little morsel of what Vivienne has to offer. Every time she opens her mouth, my world expands and grows, and I get so much to move forward with and get re-inspired. So I hope you'll join us for Revival. I'm looking forward to the cocktail event where you'll have lots more of Vivienne and some fun. You'll hear some fun little facts about our educators, things that you may not know about them. And it's going to be awesome. It's October 18th and 19th. You can join from anywhere you have an internet connection. You can join from your phone, your tablet, your computer. And you can watch, if you do the VIP, you get unlimited access to the replays. So thank you, Vivienne. You're amazing. Good luck with your next thing today.
Thank you. Have a great day. And bye, everybody. Have fun. And just even if you take 10% of what we shared today, you're going to have a different world. So go out there and have fun. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye. Thank you.